Hi, I'm Michelle Powers, and I'm a professional artist and an art teacher. I've taught art to all levels, pre-K through adults, for over 20 years. And I am a master artist as well, which is something that takes pretty much a lifetime to become. I have a Master of Arts in Teaching, and I love letting people know why they should never be afraid of contemporary art, and they should learn to express themselves in visual arts. This is the Creativity in Visual Arts series that my production company, Starbell Productions, is presenting on YouTube and hopefully on Twitter and Instagram. We have been looking at the art elements in sketching and drawing, from dot to form, which is a dot, a line, a plane, a shape, a form into 3 dimensions, textures and patterns throughout, contours, gestures, line quality, how to look at something. I showed you how to look at your subject through a viewfinder that you can make, focusing on the area that you like. We talked a little bit about concepts, and that is what you want to paint, how you want to paint or draw, and how to select that, and how to focus. Here's a large viewfinder. You can take a mat, a pre-cut mat. You can get that at like a Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and frame up what you're going to draw, and you may later focus in with a smaller viewfinder. But think about what you want to draw or sketch. When I do a painting or a series of paintings, it takes me at least a year of thinking and sketching and getting ideas before I begin. And each painting takes about 3 days. So it's not a fast job. Art is a place where you slow down, believe it or not, and that's a good thing. In this world, we're going way too fast for human life, and it's too bad. But this is a place where you can slow down and take a look at everything, look around you, see what you really like, something you love. Is there something that catches your eye? And you want to put it down on a piece of paper or paint it later. We're going to show painting later, maybe outside even. So we've used compressed chalk and charcoal pencil, blenders, erasers, and looked at how to draw with those things. And it's been a wonderful beginning, I hope, for all of you. And I told you how to go find these places where you can buy. Dick Blick Online is one, Utrecht, and also Hobby Lobby and Michael's are stores that carry crafts and art supplies. And you might have local art supply stores still around you, but a lot of them, unfortunately, are folding up. But you can also go to Amazon.com and find quite an array of art supplies. I wanted to show you a painting sketch that I did. I've shown it a couple of times. I've done a contour sketch for you. Contour is just the outside line. It's a quick review. And this is a small painting sketch of a large 4x4, one of 6 paintings this size, or 2 paintings this size, and 6 paintings altogether. And so there are many ways you can approach your final product, and it's good to know that you can take your time, and when you paint, you can erase very easily. Acrylics is a little bit harder, but oils, of course, I don't paint in oils anymore because of the pollution and poison of them. But in acrylic paints, they dry pretty fast, but you can still work with them for about 3 days. Okay, we're going to work with painting though after this. This is the last lesson in the art elements, the basic rules, fundamentals that you need to understand what art is. And that is, this time, colors. I'm called a colorist because I think in colors. I love to create through colors, shapes, textures, all kinds of things through colors. And I use black and white too in my paintings. So we are going to look at the scientific part just briefly. Remember, this is art, not science. And I want you to enjoy that part where you don't have to be exact. This is expressive. This is focusing on what it means, but then departing from that and creating your own. Andy Warhol, for instance, the pop artist of this century, this last century, created his own colors. And boy, when they came on the scene, people just were dazzled by it. And those are abstract colors. I touch on abstraction a lot here because abstract is the final layer of thinking. It involves all the sciences, the mathematics of them, mathematics of everything, technology, engineering. It's just a layer of thinking that where it opens up the ceiling. It opens up all the windows and doors so you can explore and run around in the house until you find exactly what you want, full of treasures. Okay, so I'm still drawing with colors, and I'm recommending that you get water-based colors. And these are double-ended watercolor brush pens. They're made by Statler, and that is a very good company. And there's a variety of colors already made for you. And I'm taking the primary colors. Those are the basic colors: red, yellow, and blue. And these pens have a fine point and a larger point, a wedge, so that you can cover more space. And then also we have wax pressed colors, and these are, I'm trying to look for the lid of this because it's so beautiful. There we go. Yes, Artist Loft made these, and they're water soluble wax pastels. I have oil pastels in this beautiful kit. You can buy great art kits. This was a Christmas gift to me one year. And in it are oil pastels. And these, I recommend you getting these if you're serious about doing your artwork. Whoops. These are all oil pastels. They are oil based, so they don't smear or look like watercolors. You don't put water on them. You use a blender or a rag to rub with them, or just color with them. Also charcoal pencils, watercolors are all along here, and colored pencils. I recommend everybody get a set of colored pencils and either oil pastels or water-based wax pastels, and I think they're the best. Some kind of water-based pastel, maybe a set of oil pastels, and watercolors and colored pencils. And there are so many colored pencils. These are some acrylic paints up here. Of course, I have great big acrylic paints that we use there, that I use in my painting. So big tubes. All right, so this is an idea, a kit, or just to begin with, maybe just a small pack of water-based pastels. They look like oil pastels, but they're not. And I shall show you in a minute. If you're using water-based pastels or crayons, also see if you can find one of these tubes that hold water and has a brush on the end, and you can use it to go around in where you mark and make watercolors, blend colors, etc. It's very fun to do that. And here we have red, yellow, and blue. And these are what I'm going to use now. I'm going to show you, see if I can do this. Remember, you're in my kitchen studio with my big crew of myself. Okay, and I'm going to use red at the top, so it's easy to see. Blue on one side, down like a triangle, at the corner of a triangle, and yellow at the other. Now, I hope you can see that yellow. It's pretty hard to see though. And then I'm going to take what would be called, those are the primary colors. So when you do your color circle, please try to make one of these. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, just in the order around. So we take red and yellow, put that together, and it makes an orange. That's a dark orange, but it is an orange. And we take yellow and blue, and it makes a green. And we take red and blue, and it makes a purple. Okay, so I don't have nice little circles. When I did this in junior high, I think I did it in junior high, I had nice little circles all in a perfect circle. You don't have to do that. You just have to have the order that they come in. So these are orange, purple, and green are the secondary colors you make from primary colors. And they're really important to understand, because from those you can make all kinds of colors, adding white, which is all the colors is white, blended. And you find that out if you use a prism, a sunlight beam through a prism, and you see the rainbow of colors. Or you use black, which is the absence of color. And you add a drop of black in paint to a color and it makes it darker. Those are called shades. And if you want to do something in color and shades, you would be using black, mixing colors. When we paint, you'll see more of that. This is just drawing. Okay, or white, if you add white to blue, you start getting a very pale, beautiful hue of blue as you go. And there's different names for different colors of blue, according to what colors you put together. Now, there's things called color theory in art, and some people get real interested in that and write papers about it. You can make all kinds of beautiful blues by adding other colors, but we're just talking about hues and shades today, basic, primary, secondary, and complementary colors. And complementary colors are opposite colors. Orange and blue are complementary colors. Yellow and purple are complementary colors. See, they're opposite. Green and red, Christmas, right, are complementary colors. It's important to understand those ideas. When you put your color wheel together, you'll have it there in front of you, kind of like a diagram. Okay, so I am called a colorist. Did I mention that before? I don't think I did. When I was little, I first found myself coloring, painting, enjoying the colors of it. My next door neighbor is going to be 3 next week, and she is just having a ball with colors. Her mother loves her playing in colors, making colors, and especially in Play-Doh, and mixing them all up. And she's painted about 6 little pumpkins out on her porch for Halloween. It's just beautiful to see that kind of happy spirit from somebody that's enjoying the instruments, the materials of art, and never lose track of that. Sometimes I have to put my fingers right in the paint and paint with my fingers because I've got out of touch in our modern society. And my fingers have nerves in them, and they need to know exactly the images. I'm giving you a big insider tip from an artist, a lifelong artist, of what that means. Your hands and your fingers are attached to your heart and brain and soul. And those go to a piece of paper, a canvas, some kind of surface, and they make something that your soul and heart says that no one else can say. And someone may open their eyes and say, I know what you mean. And some people, that opens up whole worlds for them. Some people manage to spread their ideas through visual arts in such ways that are just astounding. Okay, but the important thing is for you to find out that it is fun to be creative and not scary, that it shouldn't intimidate you. It should make you feel good about what you're doing. It should make you confident. Yes, confident. I really believe that art is a good thing for people. And you don't even have to talk about it, but there's some things you want to share, I think, with people that are close to you, if nobody else. I've worked in places where they've asked me to hang my art, and I love doing that. And I just listen to someone has something to say. Mostly people just see it and look at it and go on. Some people have asked me after seeing things, what is creativity? I never had a good teacher. They made me afraid. And these are people that sing or do something and they don't get visual art. So it's time to discover that if you had it locked away. Even if you can't draw a straight line, please, that is probably a good thing. We've been doing sketching and drawing for the last few sessions. This is the last one with colors, and I wanted you to just absorb what they mean. And I have not gone into too much color theory with you, but there's monochromatic, when you just take one color and make different shades and hues out of it, and do different things with that with shapes. I've got a wonderful drawing or painting by Van Gogh. He loved to work with yellows and oranges. His sunflowers, for instance, are just world-renowned. And then there's Rothko, the color field painting that just takes one or two colors and does amazing things with the textures. So we'll start here with Michelangelo. I just want to quickly give you the masters. And way back when, remember the viewfinder? Look at those sections that he made for himself in the Sistine Chapel. He had these arched triangles to put figures in, so he had to do them in such interesting ways. You'll start to see art differently as you yourself understand these elements of art, the rules, and so on. Beautiful figures in these shapes, fitted in such great ways, and yet there's a lot of detail in their faces, in their clothing, etc. Michelangelo, we're going to look at more when I present painting, which is different than drawing. Printmaking we're not going to bother with. That's more of an extension of drawing, sketching. But you need to draw and sketch first. Just start somewhere. This is something pretty interesting, I think. Monet kind of started, I think he did. To me, he's the father of contemporary work with Impressionism. His beauty, his need to see the beautiful world, his work with light and shape and color. He was a physicist in many ways. At the turn of the century, late century and turn of the century, when the speed of life was starting to really happen, and the Industrial Revolution was starting, and fascism was beginning to grow. Here is one of his many Givenchy Gardens paintings, and you can see how he's divided his canvas up in thirds. That is a law, that is a rule that a lot of photographers follow. You don't have to. You'll see others that don't do that. But there's the painting, here's the photograph of that place with two ladies on it. You can see just lights and darks and the shapes. You don't see the colors. Here you see the colors and the light. Oh, it's so different with color. Monet. Van Gogh, the master of color and line and dots. You see the elements always pop up in his wonderful work. I have on a Van Gogh shirt. I love the way he did stars and nighttime skies. And there's a cypress tree, I think, over here somewhere. There. I love how he did trees and fields. Ordinary things, and he made them extraordinary. Here are some of his amazing sunflowers. And see, they're almost the same colors. But those aren't monochromatic. No, there's yellow and orange in one of them, and green, aqua, actually another. Here we have, though, a monochromatic painting by him, all yellows. Yes, and it is a field of yellow flowers. Yellow was one of his favorite colors, if not his favorite, because he felt it was close to God. It was full of the light of God. He was following yellows because he was following God. One time he was a pastor, a minister of the word. Here's one of his great paintings of irises. It's his favorite flower besides sunflowers. Remember the bag I showed you in one of the first videos was his irises. One of my favorite flowers. The fleur-de-lis, of course, of France, is a symbol of the Trinity. Purple and yellow. What are those? Purple and yellow. Complementary colors. There you go. Van Gogh, he knew. And towards the end, he often did dark moods, but outdoors always. Here he has a cornfield with the crows, wheat field with crows. And the crows, often people think there is a death symbol. Not necessarily, but the dark skies, the foreboding in this painting, the brush strokes. You can see the brush strokes, like how we sketch with textures and lines. You see it close up. If you get a chance to see any Van Gogh's painting, I recommend you do that. His amazing self-portrait, his people very much look like who they are, but an art. And look at the lines, the colors. There must be, I don't know, like pixelations, dots of maybe 1,000 colors in the background. And here's a close-up of the painting I have on my shirt. Wavy lines. Remember how to make wavy lines. You can invent lines. Yes, you can. Kandinsky, one of my favorite artists. A lot of people don't know who he is. He escaped the fascists of Russia and then Germany to Paris, where he lived out his life, even though the Nazis occupied France. He did live in the Bauhaus with some great names like Einstein, Mies van der Rohe. Here is a large enlargement of one of his abstract paintings. Look at the colors. You see red, blue, and yellow. Primary colors with a lot of black lines. A lot of primary colors, and look at the different hues of the blues. And some of the reds, pink to dark red to crimson. He was an amazing colorist in many, many of his paintings as he took apart the world geometrically, see the shapes, until they dissolved into the imagination, into abstractions. Jazz, think of abstract art as jazz forms. A lot of abstract expressionists are big fans or even jazz musicians. But you either have one big art form, and if you're a visual artist, that's what you do, but you might go around with jazz people. I have. And I remember my gesture drawings of the jazz band in Monterey. Oh, great remembrance, great memory I have of that. I wanted to bring in Picasso at the end with his colors. And these are pastels. But look at, this is a figure. He disintegrated the figure. He deconstructed it, however you want to think of it. Two different figures, and there are geometric shapes, almost like commas or quotation marks here. And this shape may be a feminine shape, I don't know. But really just curved lines and circles and rectangles all broken up. Could be buildings, one on top of one another. And a lot of artists, when they got this abstract, just numbered their paintings. They didn't put any name, any subjective idea to them. This was number 66. And this, but he was expert at drawing neoclassical sketches and portraits. I can't believe it's the same artist, I think. It's very difficult to understand that. But he went through the geometric abstract phrase that all the abstract artists did and came out of one of the most profound cubist artists in the world, and expressed his horror of war through his Guernica mural. It required a new form in art because it was a new horror of war. So we find people in art, very sensitive and thoughtful people, who are trying to reach to a new way of thinking and pulling apart the old ways and to find a new way to express the feelings they have for what is happening around them. Of course, the fascists knew this and were afraid of them and tried to end their artwork and them. Rothko is the most contemporary artist, besides Andy Warhol with his abstract colors, that I know of, because he is so abstract, and his colors, 1, 2, 3, 3 colors, about 3 colors here, but they're textural, they're muted, they're shaded, they have hues to them. Here's one. I wanted to show you this one. This is the finish. 2 colors, red and orange, but a deep, almost crimson red, and then on a field of orange, so you know there's yellow behind it. Untitled. Number 3, untitled, orange. And that's what you'll find most abstract artists, abstract expressionists do. They pull away from any common ground that we've accepted in the past to find new forms and new ways of thinking using the elements of art. And when you sit in front of a Rothko, for instance, a lot of people would laugh. They don't understand that. It's worth like $1 million. But then you sit there long enough and you start to feel something and think something. Things change. That's what it's all about. And that artist enjoyed doing that. That's what it was really. That's good to know. They found pleasure in doing their work. They stood by it too. I hope you've enjoyed these elements of art, from the dot to the colors, and they pixelate into dots, in technology, in engineering, in mathematics, in science. I hope you'll join me in the next session on concepts. It will probably be very brief because they're going to be your concepts. They'll just be ideas more than anything. And then we're going to try painting. I'm going to try and do a live painting in front of the camera for you. I hope you've enjoyed these lessons in the elements of art, in creativity of visual arts. And I'm going to be presenting also a sculptural video after the painting. So I hope you'll stay around for all of them. After the holidays, I will introduce my book, the Creativity Notebook. It's not going to be a big book, but I think you'll enjoy reading it and reviewing it. It's like a handbook. If you want to refer back, oh, what was that? What was one of those elements? Something like that, so that you'll always have it at your fingertips. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a good time in art. Bye-bye.